My name is Jennifer Richardson. I am owner of Violets and Verses. I have a Facebook page where I just try and build a community of stitchers. We have sales periodically for project bags, magnetic boards, host retreats, and I also love to design. So we have that page where it keeps me very busy. And I've had several friends say, why aren't you doing a floss tube? I do a Friday finish on my Facebook page, but I've not ventured into floss tube yet. And so I'm going to give it a go. This is my very first floss tube. So you guys bear with me. I'm sure this is a learning opportunity and I'll learn as I go each week. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of the stitching community. Let me tell you just a little bit about myself, first of all. I'm an only child. I live with my husband and my mother, who is also a stitcher. She's a very young 80 young woman, and I tease her that she can still outstitch me. I am amazed at how fast that woman stitches. But I feel so blessed that we are able to share this love of cross stitch together. It gives us something that we can sit and stitch and visit. We attend retreats together, and I really consider it a blessing that we are still able to do all of that and make many, many memories that are happy. My husband is recently retired, and I'm loving it because all my honeydew jobs I can give him now and not worry because he's tired from being at work all day. So he may want to go back to work after I give him all my list, but he's a good sport about it. We have two sons. Our oldest son's name is Evan. He's 28. He's attending JMU in Virginia, majoring in international relations. When he got out of high school, he went into the Marine Corps and served a tour of duty with them. And so I'm so proud of him for wanting to serve his country. He just felt very strongly about that. And now he's home. I sleep a little easier knowing that he is stateside and attending college. So we are so happy for him. And as a matter of fact, he is getting married to his longtime girlfriend, Haley, a week from Sunday. So those of you that have had children get married, you know what my week has looked like and will look like till the wedding. So we are loving every minute of it, though. It's been tons of fun, just the preparation, seeing how happy they are, and getting everything ready. So we are really excited for Haley and Evan. We also have another son who is 20, and his name is Lane. He's attending Arkansas Tech University, which is probably an hour from where we live. I live in Conway, Arkansas, and that's right about in the center of the state for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with this area. And just a beautiful area. We have lots of water sports. We have lots of rivers and lakes if you enjoy fishing, lots of mountains for hiking and just taking a nice scenic drive. And I really have enjoyed being in this area. I grew up not far from here, probably an hour and a half. And then when I met my husband, we moved to Conway, and I have really enjoyed just being here. Especially, I'll tell you one reason why. We have a LNS right here in my town, so that can be dangerous. I have Stitcher's Garden, which is excellent. If you're ever in this area or coming down I-40, comes right through Conway, you need to make a stop. She has just tons of stock, lots of great fabrics and threads and patterns. She stays up to date on the newest releases, so it's kind of dangerous for me, but I'm so thankful to have one in my own city. We also have another one that is close by in Little Rock, Shepherd's Needle, and she has a very lovely store as well. So I really feel lucky, especially when I talk to some other stitchers that say they're having to drive 2-3 hours to get to a stitching shop. So that's one big plus about this area. I have a couple that's well within driving distance. But just a little bit about me. I used to teach school until I retired. I taught everything from kindergarten up to 5th grade science, and that's where I ended my career, was in 5th grade science, which I love. Science was my minor, and I got tickled. One of my students, the last year that I was teaching, we had a nature trail at school, and so I always like to take the kids out there to do different labs or just, experience nature. And we were walking out through there, and I had mud on my shoes, and we were gonna do some studies. And one of my little boys looked at me and he said, "Miss Richardson, you know, I've made an observation. You're just really not a girly girl, are you?" And that has stuck with me. I just had to laugh and say, well, no, not always. And so I loved everything there was to do with teaching science. And just working with kids, the day was never dull. You never know what they're going to say or what they're going to do. So there's a part of me that will always miss that interaction with the students, but being retired gives me a lot more time to be at home and stitch. And so I'm thrilled with that part of it. I'm going to start out by just sharing with you some of my fully finished items that I've done this week. I know 4th of July is a little ways off, but it will be here before we know it. So I was kind of in a patriotic mood this last week. I don't know about you guys, but what I stitch just kind of depends on my mood. And sometimes it may be the middle of summer, but I'm ready to stitch something Christmassy, especially in Arkansas. The temperatures get so hot and so humid. And on some of those days like that, I just want to pull out a cool winter picture or a Christmas design and stitch it to make me feel like I'm maybe not quite so hot. So for some reason, this past week, I was in a patriotic mood. So let me show you my finishes. The first one that I did, I actually stitched on perforated paper. I don't use perforated paper a lot, but for what I wanted, I felt like that was my best option. And so I did this little jar and found this little Statue of Liberty. And I'll tell you why I specifically wanted the Statue of Liberty. I was looking for a little design. My oldest son, whenever he graduated high school, for his high school graduation gift, I told him we would go on a trip, kind of a last mom and son trip for graduation. And he picked New York City. And so we went, and I asked him, you know, what is it that you want to see when we go on our trip? And one of the highlights he wanted to do was see the Statue of Liberty. And so I really wanted this just to kind of give me a reminder of our trip. Maybe I'm being sentimental because he's getting married, and I know he's moving to another stage in his life, which I'm happy about, but it still, I think, makes moms a little sentimental sometimes. So this particular piece I found by Rovie, Truly a Handmade, and that's a site off of Etsy. And this particular pattern came, I think there was 2 or 3 patriotic bookmarks. So it's actually a bookmark pattern, but I did it on the perforated paper. At the top of the actual pattern, it has some words that I left off as well. And you could add those if you wanted to, but to fit on the jar, I just did the Statue of Liberty along with the little burst of fireworks. After I stitched, I added this little border, cut it out, added some sticky felt on the back. So even if I didn't have anything in the jar and you peeked through the back, it still had a nice, neat look, and you couldn't see all the threads. Now, I'm sure some of you, your backs probably look just like your fronts. I'm getting better, but I still like to cover my backs, I think. I had intended to put just a little red and white peppermints inside, but my mother and I went to Cracker Barrel for breakfast one day this week, and oh my gosh, I love going, and that's one place I don't mind if they say you need to wait. It's going to be about 10 minutes on your table because they have all the cute little things in their shop. That can be dangerous, but it can also be fun. So I'm roaming around looking and seeing what all they have. And of course they have all their patriotic things out. And I found, is this not the cutest popcorn? Just red, white, blue popcorn. And my crew loves to eat popcorn. And especially since both the boys are home this week and next for the wedding, that's their favorite. And so I thought, I think they'll actually eat the popcorn. If I had mints, it would just sit there and look pretty maybe, but I don't think anybody really would eat that much. So I bought a couple bags of popcorn from Cracker Barrel. I got the jar from Hobby Lobby. I think it was like $9.99. And you know how Hobby Lobby will put things on sale so quickly, so you could probably get it 40% off before too long. Then I added a bow on top just with some patriotic ribbon that also came from Hobby Lobby. And I've got that here, just kind of show you. Just made a little fluffy bow, hot glued it, and I added a couple of dots of hot glue to the back of the perforated paper, stuck it on there, and that's it. So super quick finish, and this is ready to pop in my kitchen and be ready for 4th of July. So I wanted to show it to you. I didn't tell the boys that I already had popcorn in here. I had to hide it because I wanted you guys to see it first. If I had put it in the kitchen already, I would have only had probably half a jar. So anyway, that's my first finish. Then my second finish this week, I had picked out the design when I went to my LNS, and it's called Red, White, and Bloom by Brenda Gervais. And I just love this because there are several small pieces that can be stitched. So you get one pattern, but it has so many different pieces to it that you could make just like what she has here. She's done lots of little pillows for a dough bowl, and that was kind of my original intent. I thought, oh, I have a cute little dough bowl. This really will be nice. That's what I'm going to do. Well, then when I went to Hobby Lobby to get the jar, I found this wreath. So I'm going to hold it up and let you see. And just fell in love with it because I'm needing something on my side door for the 4th of July anyway. So the wreath was finished, completely done. I just took it off the rack, put it in my little buggy, and I was ready to go. And then I picked one of the designs. I'll kind of hold him up a little bit closer where you can see him. I stitched him, mounted him on some sticky board, and then mounted that sticky board on another piece that I had covered in some little rust homespun, and that also came from Hobby Lobby. And it matches the rusty red in the ribbon just perfectly. I also had some little lace pom-pom looking ribbon that I added to the top and the bottom to give it a little extra. Hot glued it on there, added this little bell that came from Hobby Lobby, and it's ready to go on my door. So the whole thing took maybe 15 minutes to put together. So a very quick finish. If you're needing something for your door, you can choose the little guy like I did, but there's so many cute designs in that one pattern that you could probably do all of them even if you wanted to. But a very easy, quick finish. So all of it, Hobby Lobby. So that was my second finish this week. I also, they're not fully finished, but I have some bag sneak peeks that I'm going to show you. I mentioned at the beginning, I have a company called Violets and Verses, and I usually have a bag sale once a month where I stitch something, or my mom helps me. She's great about stitching for me as well. And we mount the stitch piece inside the project bag. And so that's what we've been busy doing. We have a sale coming up June 10th that we're trying to get several bags ready for. And usually what we do is have a theme. And so our June theme for the bag sale is beach, vacation, patriotic, all the things that you would associate with summer. So they have been lots of fun to stitch, so I'm going to show you. The first one, I have this fabric that I'm going to use for the bag. It has lots of little pineapples on it. And I actually got that on a trip to Hawaii a few years ago. I found a fabric store. And so my poor husband, he's such a good sport though. We were driving down the road and I saw a sign for fabric. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we got to check it out. And so we pulled over and sure enough, it was a fabric shop. So I went in, we shopped and looked. I had so much fun, got some cute beachy fabric and brought back with me. I was able to squeeze it in my suitcase, but I teased him. I said, I think I'd left clothes here to get fabric back to the mainland. I would have done that, I think, because they had some cute fabric. I stitched this to go with it. Just says Aloha. And I hope the video shows you well enough. The pineapple in the middle, I used DMC variegated thread, and it gave such a nice shading just with the pineapple. And I'll show you the fabric again because the pineapple on here is kind of variegated looking. And I was really pleased with how that turned out on with that DMC variegated thread as well. I usually use DMC on all the bags because I want people to be able to wash them if they need to, because I know if you're like me, sorry, I'm gonna set that over there. If you're like me, I carry my bags with me and I'm not always a neat person. I spill things very easily, and I want to be able to wash my project bag if I need to. So if I use fancy floss, that would just cause a very big mess. So I try and use DMC on all the project bags. So that way, if you need to pop them in the washer, you can, and not have to worry about the threads running. So that was one bag. Now I'll show you another one. I found this fabric, and sometimes I find a pattern I want to stitch first, and sometimes I find a piece of fabric that I love. I may not have any idea what I'm going to do with the fabric when I buy it, but I just think it's really cool and I have to have it. Are any of you like that? You see fabric and you just say, I have to have it. Well, that's me. So I found this piece of fabric at Walmart. And I don't know if your Walmart is like mine, probably is, but at my Walmart, on one of the end caps, they have a big box. And so seasonally, they will change out fat quarters. And so I can't wait. When I go to Walmart, I have to go dig in the box to see if they have anything new. And this happens to be one of the fat quarters that I found when I was digging through the box at Walmart a while back. So let me show you the fabric the pattern that I have for that one. I have this little octopus, and this one is by the Elfin Forest off of Etsy. I just thought he was a sweet looking little octopus. He was very easy to stitch, and I used some of the DMC variegated thread on the little bubbles. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And the way I stitched the bubbles was I went around in a circle, so that way the variegation would kind of give the illusion of a bubble, what a bubble might look like where the light would hit it. So that's going to go on a bag as well. Now the Aloha pattern, I don't think I told you the name of that person. It was TJ Designs, and that was also off of Etsy. All right. Here's the last one that I have. And this fabric I've had for a while. I found it and I just love the colors. I love that aqua, and the fish are kind of that real pretty peach and yellow and kind of a red, burnt red or orange color, and it just looked beachy to me. And I had it and I just never could find something that I wanted to stitch on it. Well, a while back I was searching through Etsy and I found a pattern called Fish and Water, and it's by Threads and Things. And I thought this is the perfect pattern for that fabric I've had for a while. So I'm going to show it to you. And maybe if I hold it up next to it, you can kind of see a little bit better. So it kind of mimics the fish that are in the fabric. So I was so excited. Finally could use that fabric. And once again, I used a variegated thread. This is the thread I'll kind of show you. It's a DMC. And it's got such pretty colors in it. All those peaches and yellows, the same colors that I found in the fabric. So that's also going to be for a bag. So those are some of mine that the stitching's finished, but it's not fully finished. I've still got to put the bag together. Now, let me show you a couple of whips that I have. I have this fabric that I'm going to use for a bag. And I'm hoping to finish this little guy tonight when I sit down after dinner. This is from Souvenirs of Summer. And I think I have the book here. It's by Blackbird Designs, and I just love their designs. And so it's the same little guy that you see on the front. I did change up a few of the colors. I still have to finish the flag and do the stars that kind of go around him as well. But I think that's doable. My goal is tonight anyway. That's one of my whips. And right now, I've just been very busy stitching bags. But I have two projects that I've been working on, and I just have to pick them up when I can and work on them. And they're going to be for my house. So these are kind of my personal stitches. This one is called Leeds House Sampler. I love the colors in it. It's kind of, and I love stitching samplers. Probably, if I had to say my favorite thing to stitch, it would have to be samplers. I just love the history behind them, and I enjoy kind of the fact that they all have an alphabet. They all have usually a little verse. And so this one has been a fun stitch so far. I'm planning on putting this up in my dining room if I ever get it finished. My dining room has all the blues and whites, and I have some of the old blue and white plates displayed, and I think this guy will be really cute up in there with all my other plate displays. So let me show you what I got done on him so far. So far it's looking pretty good. I've got quite a bit at the top, enough to make me think, I think I will get it finished someday. So this has been fun to stitch on, and I'm planning on taking it with me on vacation. So hopefully, I usually try and reserve vacation time for stitch whatever I want. And so this guy is going with me. I'm hoping to make a little more progress on him soon. Then in my bedroom, we moved into I call it my new old house. We sold our home back last summer, the end of the summer, and we've always admired the historic district in the town that we live in, and have just kind of oohed and awed when we see some of the homes that are being remodeled, but have not felt like we could take on a remodeling ourselves. I think you have to have lots of dedication to the task, and I think it takes someone who has done that before and has knowledge to do a remodel. And so I have been hesitant, as has my husband, of attempting that. But we lucked out because a couple had bought, they call them the twin homes here in Conway. And they are the exact same outside. They look like the same home. They're painted different colors. The neighboring house, the twin that's like ours, is painted white and gray. Our house is a blue with a white trim. And so we were thrilled because the couple bought both of them, remodeled both of them, and living in one, and decided to sell the other one that they remodeled. And so we bought it. It's over 100 years old. It was owned by a Lewis and Effie Lincoln, who were actually related to Abraham Lincoln. So I've kind of been on an Abraham Lincoln stitch kit. I have been wanting to stitch things to do with him, to kind of go in our foyer to tell the story of the house, and that's been lots of fun as well. But up in our master bedroom, I kind of have a blank wall behind our bed, and I want to do Quakers. I just have it in my head that that's what needs to go on that wall. And so I've started one that I have admired for a long time. I've had the pattern, I don't know how many years, because I've always wanted to do it, but I just never did. And so I thought, now's the perfect time to start. It's called Quaker Evening Prayer. Now it's the little verse, now I lay me down to sleep. And I just fell in love with this when I bought the pattern. And when we moved into the house, we had that large wall, and I thought, this is what I want. So I have started on it, and I'll show it to you. I did change the colors up. I went to Gloriana Silks. I'm using Blueberry. I'm having to look here to make sure I tell you the right colors. Blueberry is the blue color that I'm using. And Italian Gold is the other color. So here's my Gloriana Silks. Absolutely love stitching with the silk and kind of changing it up. So I've got a good start. There's 4 pages, so I've nearly got, when I finish this, the lettering in this one section, I'll have the first page done. So that's going with me on vacation as well. So I can hopefully alternate between those two and be able to get them framed when I get back and put them in their rightful place. So those are my whips that I've been working on. I had a couple fun things that I wanted to share with you about my finishes. So I want to go back and do that. I forgot. So you guys, like I said, this is my first one, so bear with me. On the Statue of Liberty, I told you a little bit of the story about why I wanted to do it, because I think I'm feeling sentimental with my oldest son getting married, and we had visited the Statue of Liberty. When we visited, they had actually opened it up for a short period of time where you could climb up to the top. And of course, that was 11 years ago. I was a little bit younger, a little bit more in shape probably. And my oldest son said, "Mom, do you want to do that?" And I thought, well, we may never get this opportunity again. And it's a good thing we did then, because I don't know if I could do it now. But I am terrified of heights. And I really was a little nervous about it. And I thought, but he really wants to do this, so I'm just gonna make myself, we're gonna do it. So we went and started climbing. And I'll have to show you, we got to one point and it narrows, and so there's a spiral staircase that you have to go up. And if you look over the side, don't do that if you ever do it. Don't look over the side, because you just see all the way down. I made that mistake. We had started up and had gone around probably one of the curves, and I peeked over the side, and that was it. I was like, I don't think I can move. And I told Evan, I said, I just can't do this. So I slowly, with a death grip on the rail, backed back down to the little landing. And there was a gentleman, park ranger, that was standing on the landing, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "I'm terrified of heights." And I said, "I think I'd have been okay if I hadn't peeked over the side. I should have never done that, but I did." And so he said, "Well, if your son wants to go on up, he can. You can wait here with me if you'd like to." And I really thought that's what I was going to do. But then I thought, I'm going to be so frustrated if I don't do this with him. So I told Evan, I said, "Let's try it." So I said, "You go in front of me where I can just stare at your back." And so that's the way we did it. We would go around one loop, and they would have a little bitty spot you could kind of step to the side if you needed to. Then I'd kind of get my breath. And I just stared a hole in the back of his shirt all the way up. And with lots of encouragement from him, we made it to the crown. So I want to show you the picture. I think it's kind of cool because if you have never been to the crown, or if they don't ever open it again, I'm not sure, it may be open now. At least you will have seen a little picture of what it's like. So up here, and I'm trying to see here in this top, you can kind of see it's not very big. Once you get up into that crown section, it's not a very big space. And then down here, that's my son and myself, and that's us in the crown. You can see the windows here that would be visible from the outside in the crown. And that's a look of sheer relief on my face that I made it. But I just had to share that with you. But I have to tell you a little story. When we got to the top, the park ranger was up there. There has to be like a double staircase or something. How he got up there, I'm still not sure I don't know how he did it to this day. But he was up in the crown. And he said, "You made it." And I said, "Yes, I did." And I don't think he thought there was any way that I was going to make it all the way to the top. And he was coming up to rescue me. So I appreciated him. I appreciated Evan being encouraging, and I was so happy that I made myself do it. So lots of good memories from that trip. But I did look up a couple fun facts because that was one thing that I picked up on whenever we went. There were so many things about Statue of Liberty I just didn't even realize. And here it is. For example, it's 305 feet tall, and this made me feel better. She has a 35-foot waistline. I like that part because I'm like, well, that's not so bad then. She weighs 450,000 pounds or 225 tons. She's a heavy gal. The number of steps is 354. That's the equivalent of 20 stories. And I think I took each of those steps very slowly because I was so nervous. If you get to the crown, you can actually look down onto the tablet that the Statue of Liberty is holding. And it says July 4th, 1776. It faces southeast as a welcoming sign to ships that would have been coming into the harbor, because at that time, all of the immigrants would have, or most of them, not all of them, would have been coming into Ellis Island. And so as they came into the harbor, they would have seen the Statue of Liberty standing there to welcome them. And that had really a lot of meaning to me as well, because my grandfather, my mother's dad, immigrated here from Brazil. And he was 9 years old. He tells the story that when they left Brazil, they had never owned a pair of shoes. And so my great-grandmother took all of them, had them buy a pair of shoes because they were going on this big trip on a boat, and she thought they needed a pair of shoes. So I can't imagine. She and her husband, my great-great-grandfather, came over. They had 5 little boys, and as the mother of boys, I know what that can be like. And so here they come to America, brand new country, with 5 little boys running around on this ship into Ellis Island. So when I visited the Statue of Liberty, I just kind of imagined what did my grandfather think when he first saw that statue standing there? And what did many of the other immigrants think when they saw that statue welcoming them to this new world and new country? So it was really a fun trip and had lots of meaning to me. So that's really one of the reasons I wanted to stitch a Statue of Liberty. A couple other fun little facts about it. It was gifted to the United States by the French because they really were strong allies with us during the Revolutionary War. And that was given to the U.S. as a centennial gift. And so that was very special and sweet that they would do that. And there is a replica of the Statue of Liberty that is also in France. It's a smaller version, but there is one over there. There are 7 spikes on the crown. That represents all 7 continents in the 7 oceans. I didn't know that till I was reading some facts about it. The face of the Statue of Liberty is said to represent the guy who actually did the sculpting. They said he used his mother's face as a model for the face of the Statue of Liberty. I thought that was so sweet. And let's see, the guy who designed the interior to be very supportive and keep everything held together also designed the Eiffel Tower. And so it's still standing too. So I think he knew what he was doing. And then this is the last fact that I couldn't get over. It says it's estimated that the Statue of Liberty gets hit by lightning at least 600 times a year. That's just blows my mind. I mean, it says 600 bolts of lightning a year. That's amazing to me. But as tall as it is, I'm sure that's why. But some fun facts I hope you enjoyed. And then with the Uncle Sam finish that I had, after I stitched the little guy, I was thinking, you know, I wonder, I'm very curious, and some of you that are watching probably already know me and know I'm a history nerd. And those of you that are new, you'll get to know that I'm just very curious. Maybe that's the science part of me coming out. But as I was stitching him, it made me think, where did Uncle Sam even start? You know, how did that get started? And so I did some research. And I got this information. It's legendsofamerica.com. So if you are curious like me and want to check it out, you can. And it said that the story of Uncle Sam has been around since the War of 1812. There was a gentleman named Samuel Wilson, and he was a meat packer. He had served during the Revolutionary War when he was only 15 years old. That still amazes me. I think about these young boys and how young they were that served during these wars. And I, as a mother, I just can't imagine. But he was very well respected. Everybody thought highly of him. And he and his brother owned a meatpacking company. And so during the War of 1812, he was approached and decided that he would supply all of the meat barrels for the soldiers. And so whenever he would get the meat barrel together to ship to the soldiers, it would be stamped. And on the stamp, it would say EAUS. And so somebody was asking, what's this mean on the barrel? Why is it stamped EAUS? And they said, oh, that's just Uncle Sam, because the gentleman's name was Samuel. And so he got the nickname Uncle Sam. And I guess just because he was so patriotic and he was supporting the war and doing his part, both during the Revolutionary War when he was so young and during the War of 1812, he was supplying food for the troops, that he inherited this nickname, Uncle Sam. And there was a gentleman named Thomas Nast, and he designed the cartoon character Uncle Sam. And supposedly, he's the same gentleman that designed what we picture Santa Claus looking like, as well as the elephant and the donkey for both the Republican and Democratic parties. So that was just some little facts that I found that I thought I'd pass along. You guys are going to learn that. I'll share some little tidbits of information. Maybe that's the teacher in me still trying to come out. But thank you for humoring me and listening to some of these facts. Now, I want to show you, I went to my local L&S last week. I have to pick my bag up. There was someone the other day when I was in there that was telling Linda, who is the shop owner, she said, Linda, I think you need to get a different bag color. She said, my husband has caught on that when I come in with a pink bag, that means I've been to the stitching store. So here's my pink bag. She hasn't changed the bag color yet. So it's a dead giveaway. If I come in with a pink bag, I've been to my local L&S. So I was in there and I found several goodies. So I want to share those with you. The first thing that I found that I loved was this little pattern. It's Country Cottage Needleworks Make Lemonade. And I had some fabric that had pink stripes in the background with lemons all over it. And it was, once again, it was a piece of fabric I bought because I liked the colors. I thought it was cute, but I didn't know what to put on it. And so when I saw this pattern, I thought, I got it. This is what I'm going to use. So I was excited to find that. Then I got this by Threadwork Primitives. It's called Never Fading. And I just love that old looking sampler. And if you can tell, down at the bottom, it has a skeleton key. And when we moved in this house, like I said, it's over 100 years old, we have extra skeleton keys that actually belong to the house. So I'm wanting to stitch this to go up in our living room and put one of the keys from this house, original house key on the picture. So I'm super excited about doing this one. So that was another one. It may have to go on vacation with me too. See, I'll take 50 projects and maybe get one done. I don't know. Do you guys ever do that too? Pack way more than you'll ever get stitched? I'm terrible about that. Okay, then when I went in, Linda showed me this by Brenda Gervais, and I love her designs. It's called Happy Birthday America. Let me see if I can turn it where you can see a little bit better. And it's a drum, but it's a little different. You're not putting the drum together so much. So what she did, she also had the finishing pieces. It comes with this little shaker box, which is like the paper mache type. And it has this little spool. So you paint the spool, kind of that red. I mean, you could paint it navy or cream, whatever color you wanted to paint it. And then you're going to paint the lid the same color. But you're going to flip it upside down, attach it to the top of the little spool. Then around this section of the shaker box, you set that down. Inside the pattern, you get a piece of fabric to cover that. So that comes with the pattern. I love it. So the only part you're actually stitching is the top. So I'm excited. This may be a 4th of July stitch for me. I think that's adorable. So of course I had to have the pattern, I had to have the spool, and I had to have the shaker box because it all goes together. Then she got some new fabric in. This is Picture This Plush Relic 16 count Aida, and I know it's hard to see when it's on a video, but I love the color. It makes me think of fall, and I'm getting ready to work on my design for the fall issue of PNPS magazine, and I may just be going to use this fabric. Then I had to get a little pair of these scissors, and I don't know, I've seen it posted on several sites where people are getting ready to travel, and they've said, what kind of scissors can I carry? I have flown internationally to several different countries, and I always carry these scissors. Let me look and see if I can see it. They're called Super Snips. They're very cheap, inexpensive. So if you ever did have them pulled and thrown in the trash can, you wouldn't cry because they're cheap. But they are some of the sharpest scissors I think I've ever used. And if you look, it has a nice little cover so you can take it off, teeny tiny blade, and then when you're finished, you can just pop the cover back on and they're ready to go. I have been through lots and lots of checkpoints. They've seen the scissors. I've never lost a pair. So I put my good scissors in my checked luggage, and this is what I carry on the plane. So for those of you that may be traveling and wondering what you can take, these are perfect. I used to think the little floss cutters that you could wear, it looks like a piece of jewelry, but I have heard that they will confiscate those and take them away. So once again, this is a good tool to use if you're going to travel. So I got me a new pair. Then I am super excited. Well, I'm going to show you one more thing first. At Cracker Barrel. I went to Cracker Barrel. I told you to get the popcorn this week. And I'm looking, and they had some sponges. And they're hilarious. First, it just caught my eye because of the saying. It says, not going to wash themselves. And then the bottom one, clean up your act. Now, I love this one because when my boys are home, dishes just kind of sit there. And so I thought, for fun, I'm just going to set this sponge on the sink. and see what their response is. But then after I picked it up and I really started looking at it, it looks cross-stitched. So I'm going to zoom in and hopefully you can kind of see how it looks stitched. So that was a seller for sure. I had to have them. So Cracker Barrel if you're interested. Now, let me show you my last two things that I'm super excited about. I think you guys will be too. And if you've already seen these from somewhere else, I'm sorry. I got to show it to you again. This one is called Floss Tube Friends. Is that not just the cutest? It reminds me of Cross Stitch Nation. I did that and put that on a bag. This is by October House. And it has all these different people that are stitching. They have their stitching with them. And one of the things I love, they're all different. Every one of them is different. They're all stitching differently. It looks like they've all got different projects. And that's just like we are, isn't it? We all are different. We all have our own unique qualities, but we share the common love of stitching. So I bought two of these. I had to have one for me, and then I'm going to give one away. So I have two of these. Then I found a needle minder that she had. It says, I just want to stitch and watch Floss Tube. So I had to have that too. So this week, I'm going to do a giveaway, and I'll try and do that each week. And what I'd like for you to do is just in the comments, answer the question, what do you enjoy about Floss Tube? And I think that will help me, since I'm just getting started, to know what is it. I know what I enjoy when I watch Floss Tube, but what is it you like to see? And that will kind of help me to plan my next Floss Tube. So I just want to thank all of you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. And if you're not a member of the Violets and Verses page, I encourage you to go over and join. I do a little video there as well. It'd be a little different than this one. And it's just a great group of stitchers that support each other. So we'd love to have you join us. But thank you again. Subscribe, comment below for a chance to win. I'll draw from the winners before my next Floss Tube. My plan is to do one every Friday. And so I will draw next Friday and announce the winner on my next Floss Tube. So take care. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you guys all soon. Bye.